like, nope, I take my boat out on the water and I eat bagels for breakfast.
Yeah, I'm back. Thank God.
Sean, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Chris, are you recording already?
Yeah, we're going.
Uh, oh, let's get started then. Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. Hey guys, welcome back to the flip side. As you guys can definitely hear, I'm not feeling great, and Chris probably isn't feeling great today, so that doesn't help anything. We're just kind of alive right
Let's
now.
go.
I know. I had to miss my meet because I'm not sounding great, and the owner was like, "Hey, you should stay home and like rest." I'm like, "Yeah, I probably should." I'm kind of dying
Yeah.
slowly, but feeling better now, at least a little bit. I'm eating, so that's good, and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
good.
coughing as much.
Keeping food down is important. That's important. I'm
Yeah,
not really sick yet, but people at my work were sick and I don't feel great, so I'm guessing I'm sick. So, yay.
yeah, just in case, I'm gonna just like take it easy. But
Exactly.
Chris's easy is like not easy, so that's fine.
Yeah, I only like worked out for an hour. Like I went trekking for like an hour, then I sat in the sauna, and then I went barefoot hiking, and now I'm here. Taking it easy.
Just taking it easy, because why not?
Yeah.
So today's convo is gonna be kind of differentiating between flat spin and twisting, because in my book, they're two different things. Because twisting more involves an actual flip, at least to some degree, where most flat spins don't, or at least they start to approach that like inverted axis is what you would consider, in my opinion, more twisty skills. So in my definition, that's what I'm trying to divide it as. So it makes more sense because we're kind of going between explaining the differences, kind of talking about the differences, and seeing which one we think is harder. Because in my opinion, at a certain point, flat spin is just so much insanely harder than twisting. It's ridiculous. Like it just is. And I hope maybe Chris agrees with me here, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Truckers are weird and they don't like to agree with gymnasts, so that's okay.
Whatever you say, I'm gonna disagree with it. No, but I actually do agree that flat spinning is more difficult than um like a perfectly upside down flip or like a vertical axis for twisting and flipping. I think it is more difficult because there's a lot more complex, but it's interesting because flat spin can be available in so many different ways. Like you can flat spin in a Muggle Slayer, in a Lotus, or in a Cork, or in a B twist, and those are like 4 different types of flat spins. And then there's that
True.
video that kind of like introduced this whole concept that we wanted to talk about, and that was that guy doing the septuple twist on the trampoline. And
Yes.
yeah, so we watched that and we were like, well, is that a flip or not a flip? Because it was really in the area where he almost didn't even hit horizontal, I don't think. It was like,
Yes.
yeah, but he wasn't vertical spinning and he wasn't flipping, but he was flat spinning. But does flat spin count as a flip? So that's kind of what started this. So yeah, I mean, you're in charge of this episode, so go ahead and take this where you'd like.
But yeah, we saw that it was on I think it was on TikTok. I'm not 100% sure. Because I remember
What's
sending it to you and
TikTok?
I was just like, this is actually insane. It's like septuple twists, which is nuts. And like I don't even get how you do that. Like feasibly, like without flipping. Because usually you don't have enough momentum to keep carrying you through. So that's where we got in a little bit of a debate where it was like, is this flipping or not? And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Because to me, with that, especially looking just at purely this case, I'm also trying to look it up to see where I sent it to you at
Yeah,
the same
yeah.
time that we're talking.
Oh, I bet it is in the
Um,
DMs.
and I'm trying to remember if it's in the flip side DMs or if it's in my other, I think it's in my other account. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to give me a quick second here because I'm trying to make sure that I have all of my info, which I should have had before we started, but I'm a shitbag, so it's okay. Another video that I actually wanted to mention to why I think flip or flat spinning is harder. So a lot of people here know who Ian Gunther is potentially if you listen and you watch TikTok and you know anything about gymnastics. You've probably seen him. He's on the Stanford team. A bunch of the guys that were on the Stanford team were trying double B twist because it's in men's code. And they were just like, this is so hard. Like, why is this just so hard? And yet their tech for it is really good, which is really surprising. Like, it's really flat, straight legs. They don't do it on the floor, but they do it into a foam pit. And it's like, yeah, like if they learned how to actually set up to do a B twist, they'd probably get it no problem. But even for them, they're like, this makes no sense.
Right.
So that's
but
why I think
you
it's harder,
have to
'cause a lot of
look
those
at
guys
it.
do triple pull.
It's interesting because you could be like, well, flat spin is harder, but maybe flat spin tricks are harder. But then you have to look at it also and be like, what if they were doing double A twist? Would that be harder than double B twist? For them, maybe. For them, it might be easier because they're gymnasts and they're
Yeah.
used to that access. But in general, the requirement of like, if you could take all the power required to do it and like the directional force and like if you could do all the math and add all that up, I don't know which one would require more, overall force and control. And it's like there's no actual measurement to figure that out. But if you were to like some sort of find an equation, I'm curious which one would add up to more. But then it also, skill set matters. So
Yes. And that's because like a lot of them can triple full on floor. So I'm like, if they really like flat spin just feels that weird to them, I'm like, maybe it is just still like that weird step harder, or at least it could just be for like gymnasts who are quote unquote classically trained for tumbling, because we're used to having you learn to twist here. It may float a little bit off to the side, but it's never like this. Because if you're here, you pretty much think, oh, I'm dead. Like that's
yeah,
it.
it was really interesting watching them do it too, because they would go up into that double B twist and their feet would not flat spin at all. They would set it, they would double spin, and then they would just stay on their side.
Drop.
Their feet were not coming around at all, which is
No.
super odd to me. Then my guess is because they were not engaging their arms at all. They had really good kicks, which means their kick.
Hey, if you enjoy our content and you want to show some support, make sure you follow us on Spotify and Instagram. Our Instagram tag is the_flip_side_podcast. Just make sure to go on there. Just shout out like old episodes that you liked, anything about the new episodes. You can comment on any of them. We would really appreciate it. And if you do end up wanting to go a step further, just become a supporter. All you have to do is follow the link in the description in any of our episodes that we've published. And you can also go under the About section in our Spotify homepage.
You can do as little as 99 cents a month. Any amount that you guys support us is going to help us build a better podcast and help build better trickers around the world. Really good kicks, which means their kick was going up, setting the axis, but then they had no arms engaging, which means their hips weren't coming around. So
Yeah.
that's, that would make sense. But that's an easy fix too. Also, I looked up the definition of flip in gymnastics so that I could shit on you, but it turns out that it actually doesn't help my case. But I wanted to say,
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time for me?
Yeah, so gymnastics is not right and they don't decide everything. But according to them, it says that that a flip is an acrobatic exercise in which the person's body rotates 360 degrees around the horizontal axis, the feet passing over the head. So yeah, it has to be
Not here.
second. Yeah, not here. But the
This
feet
is the
have to-
vertical axis.
But this is interesting. Actually, this for some reason I was thinking that the body had to be in line with the vertical axis, but that's
Technically, the further away it deviates, it is deduction. So, like, yes, quote unquote, but you will see people that I've seen it called tilt twist, where they come out and they're a little bit sideways during their twists. So, like, as long as it's close to vertical, it's usually not too bad. But yeah, it's usually not like here.
Okay,
If
so
that's what you're trying to get.
now, yes. So now my question is, a cork is a flip.
A correct cork is a flip. Yes.
What's an incorrect cork?
Have you ever seen? So actually, I got into this fun conversation with one of the cheerleaders that I'm teaching round off back handstrings and back tucks to. Standing fulls that
Wow.
cheerleaders tend to do
Okay.
are the weirdest freaking things I've ever seen, because they just don't make sense. They're literally a back full sometimes without flipping, which bad corks come like this, which really isn't a flip. And a cheerleader standing back full sometimes is taught where they come here and it looks really just like a cork off 2 feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a
Because
bad
they drive
cork,
I'm imagining it, and they drive all that force through like that swing knee.
yes. So
Yeah,
a
there's
bad
no
cork
hips.
is really not a flip. A good cork is a flip
But
because
then a
they're
bad
at least
cork,
45.
I feel like if you do a cork, like there's a pretty fine line. Well, I feel like it's very difficult because if you could do a swing 9 and a cork, there are corks that I'm like, it's definitely a swing 9, but the way your body was engaged makes that a cork. You know what I'm saying? Like you are you are on your hips are below your head, but you're not quite horizontal like you want to be, but there's no way you could throw out a kick in any other direction except a cork round direction because your body's engaged in this like flipping way where your knees have to go over your hips. Like you're not in. I actually have a really good video of this that I got for this upcoming video of ours for the 540 breakdown. I was trying to do a pop 540 and I could not do it. And I realized because I kept doing pop swipe instead. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay so vertical and I'm going to lean forward into my kick. And I did it. And it was the easiest trick I've ever done in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was overcomplicating it so much. But the thing is that it was like, clearly there was a difference between the side swipe and the 540, but I didn't know that I was doing a pop side swipe. And I think it's the same thing in the cork where like, even if you're doing it, like you can do a body position of a 540 kick in a side swipe and it looks like a 540 kick, but you could do a side swipe positioning in a 540 kick and it looks like a side swipe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
And
know where you're coming from.
So that's what I'm saying is like you could do a swing 9 that's actually a cork, and you could do a cork that's actually a swing 9. That's what I'm trying to say. I think
Tricking makes no sense.
because here's the
That's
thing.
okay.
If you did a swing 9, but you paused the video as you went, and then you like tilted the video so that it looked like you were on a cork axis instead of a swing 9 axis, you could still be like, that's a swing 9. But there are certain times where you could do a cork on a swing 9 axis, and if you tilted it, they'd be like, holy shit, that's a cork. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because we
Okay.
decided that it has to be on this axis, but that's to me, body positioning is so much more important in a flip than, like, for example, a shant. The reason that a shant and pseudo flips, the reason that they're still flips is because you are flipping. Your body is flipping, even though you're not like in accordance with the rest of the world, you might not be flipping, but your body is flipping. Do you know what I'm saying?
If we're talking about double shants, I could almost give that to you. If we're talking about a single shant, get out. Like no.
Then what is it? Then what is it?
Some weird, stupid thing that's just really funny to do. But it's like a flat spin skill. I would say it's more of a flat spin skill.
And why, Sean, is flat spinning and not flipping?
Because okay, so looking at the definition of flipping, at least gymnastic standard wise, 360 degrees over the horizontal axis. That means here. Even if it's here-ish, that's still over the axis. Like
even
you could make an argument that if it's like
here,
this,
that's
like
still a flip because
make
it's
an argument for that, but like,
degrees.
I mean, that's really pushing it. Like really pushing it. I would.
Hey man,
okay, so
I've seen some quad fulls from gymnasts that are on that axis.
name one.
I don't know their names, but you showed me videos.
Okay, let me put it this way. You won't see a good one done like that.
If you land it, it's a good one.
That's a different episode. That's a whole different argument.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh man. I'm just gonna breeze by that so I don't have to like go way too off tangent here. So okay. I'm gonna define it in my terms that twisting has to have somewhat of something that's considered a flip. I'm gonna say if the flip is below that like 45, 35 range, it's not really a flip anymore. It's like kind of a flip. Like it's approaching being a flip and a twist, but it's not quite there. That's what I would say, because anything lower is kind of just spinning here while somehow going like this and twisting.
Which we both agree is harder.
Yes, it's way harder. It's like stupid hard for like no reason.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean, it makes sense that why it's more difficult because like all your base muscles are vertical. It makes sense. We move this way. Like
no,
this
not this
is
way.
much weaker. So it makes sense that it doesn't, cooperate with our bodies, but we still want to do it.
Yes. So kind of moving back to us talking about the septuple twist dude,
Okay.
which I found him. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm gonna try as best as I can.
Yeah, put it in the description.
Sebe Wenmalm. Sure, we'll go with that. So me and Chris here got in a small discussion about, because his feet kind of approach, at least from the angle, looks like it either approaches or comes a tiny bit above his hip. If you would start to consider that a flip, where to me that's still like, it's flat spinning and it's almost like just vert spinning, but he's tilting to get it to happen. Because and this happens in gymnastics, it's kind of a little bit of the opposite. Instead of starting here, you're upside down. So you're inverted, but you tilt twist, as we'll call it. So you're going to be that little bit off axis to get it to happen, because you don't feel like you're going to be flipping fast enough in that true vertical axis. So you have to come a little bit off to get that line to the floor. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I think that it's caused from flip twist ratio. When you're twisting more than you're flipping, then you go
Yeah.
off axis, which plays into your flat spinning.
Yes.
Actually, Benjamin
So-
Tells did a really cool breakdown of that. So if you're interested in a bigger talk on that, go find
that
that
would be good.
post.
So we'll
Yeah,
tag
it's
him
really
in here
cool.
too.
Yeah, we could. It's like he did like a whole like equation to like map out like the subtractions and additions of how the twist and the
love
flip
tables.
play into each other. Yeah, I was like, who the fuck has time for that shit? But okay, great. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, like that's pretty in depth. Like I like that.
It's awesome. That's the patience I wish I had.
Right? The patience we wish we had.
Yes.
So my best example is like with gymnasts, especially for considering it twisting. So like lots of videos that I've sent you before with like that one, I don't know his name. He's someone on the Japan team, I believe, where he does like really crazy combinations on floor where he does like back, I think he tries like back 3.5 punch double front. If you're coming in sideways to punch into double front,
it's not gonna
you're just
happen.
dead.
Yeah, it's not gonna
So
happen.
like that's the thing. He is on that axis. So like if your flip twist ratio is off, like you're gonna have to be that sideways because you don't feel like you're flipping fast enough to be able to pull that twist.
Yeah.
Because the twist will slow you down that little bit. So I agree, like it's gonna tilt that little bit. But like what I'm gonna say what Sebe did off the trampoline, the hardest part that gets me is like, yes, his hips kind of come up, but it's almost like he's doing a gained version of a B twist.
Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I see what you're saying.
So
Because like
so then
some of
here's
the
argument,
corks.
is B twist a flip?
Oh, good argument. I'd say yes, because I categorize flat spins as a version of a flip. But I think that that's just like I'd want to know why you don't think a flat spin is a flip. Because to
Because
me, it still is. Because
when you do B twists and when you flat spin here, you're not thinking about trying to get your feet over your head. You're just coming up and coming back down. Like it's literally supposed to come in this arc where like your head and your feet may be equal or they might be slightly tilted, but you're never thinking, I need to get my feet over my head to land.
right, because that's a different trick. That's a twist. So
Yes. So
okay,
you're never
but what
actually
about
coming towards that axis to think about, oh shit, if I don't continue to flip, I'm gonna land on my neck. That doesn't
but
happen.
I think this is just like trigger terminology because flips are way less important to us than they are to you. Like for us, we're like,
Yes.
they're all tricks. That's what we say.
Yes. So that's the thing.
So like when you tell me like a flip versus not a flip, I'm just like, it's a
Cool.
trick, man. Yeah, like even like if you were doing like a Cody, what's it called? And then you like flat spin and land back on your stomach. No,
Oh yeah, the thing we tried for, I think it's called a toilet bowl or something like that.
Oh
We
no,
tried for
not
how
even
long?
that one. Just like belly to belly, but you just stay your belly.
Oh
pretty
yeah.
close to the ground.
I called it tabletop.
Okay, tabletop, sure. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. But even that to me is like a flip. Like because here's the thing. If your body is moving in a way, you're not twisting, you're what you would call flat spinning, but this is what's in my head, this is kind of funny. Like, so my idea of like a flip is the fact, and like tricking, you don't necessarily have to follow the rules, right? That's what tricking is all about. So with the vertical and horizontal axis, if I take the horizontal and vertical axis and I turn it to allow a flat spin to be a flip, it is a flip because the body mechanics required to do a flip are being engaged to make the flip happen. So just because something that we invented called the X and Y axis doesn't line up with something, because the physics required and the body movements required to do a flat spin are the same ones that you would do as a flip. Otherwise, it would be a twist. Which is why a flat spin is a twist. Because if a flat spin isn't a flip, then it's a twist. And I think it's a flip. See what I'm saying? Like if those are the only two options, it's a flip, not a twist.
That's interesting because, like, I guess if you put it into a vacuum, I mean, as long as technically your feet are going over your head, at least in some capacity, like, yeah, you could take it as a flip. So if you're, let's say theoretically, you're in like zero gravity and you're turned sideways and you're literally going like this, and your knees are coming like over your head and you're just flipping, like that would be a flip. That wouldn't really be a flat spin anymore. So I mean, I kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah. And also, if you are in space and there is no gravity, then where's the X and Y axis?
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like once you're in the air,
we're applying by Earth logic. You know, there's gravity that exists.
No, but that's the thing about tricking. We don't care about Earth logic.
Yeah, sometimes you guys don't, and it just boggles my mind. But I mean,
we
gymnasts
come up with
also
an
defy
idea.
gravity, so
Yeah, but then you use it to your advantage. It's our enemy.
yeah, ain't that the truth?
I think that's a little bit different.
So I mean, I don't know. I will probably die on that hill. That I will say, I'll put it this way then. Probably like 95% of flat spin skills are not flips. There could be some that probably approach it close enough where you can be like, it's like a flip.
You're gonna make.
But I would say a majority of them, especially even to me, like B twist, is just not a flip. Like it's not, because you're literally just staying like this. You're not coming over your head. You're staying sideways. The only reason
you're still alive right now is because you've actually landed B twist. So I'll let you live. You can have an opinion.
You're allowed to have an opinion, even if it's wrong. You can have an opinion.
Yes, you can have an opinion on B twist because you've done B twist. So I'll allow that.
Haha. I can't have an opinion on cork. I haven't done that, but
yeah, I feel like
agree that cork is a flip.
Yeah, even when you do like a really shitty cork, you're gonna be like, oh, I see why he thinks it's a cork. Even if you do like a vertical one. If you do a vertical cork and tuck your knees, you're gonna be like, oh, because here's the thing, it's a cork variation. Even if it's vertical and you tuck your knees, it's a cork variation, which means it's a variation of a flip, which means it's in the flip category. That's how I'm viewing these things. And also, B twist is also a cork variation, which is in the cork category.
Oh my God, you're trying to use some bullshit circular logic here. Come on.
Listen. If you do a backside 9, right, and that's a vertical kick, right? You're spinning and kicking. You never go upside down, and there might be minor tilts to allow for a chamber and a kick. Okay, but where's your target? If you are standing backside and you have your front side, or your front side hand in the front, then you're going to twist until your backside leg is kicking out, right? And your target is where your arm was initially. If you're doing a B twist though, now instead of kicking this way, now your target is that way, the direction you're going. That to me makes it a flip, because your legs went from this side to this side instead of staying in the same way that they were. You see what I'm saying?
But they don't.
No, they do.
No. So, okay, going on for B twist, I'm thinking about this in my head. So when you go up, you focus on that low, I guess I'll call it chamber setup.
Flagella.
So yes, that word. I am never going to remember that word. But as your feet come up, that's really your target until you finish the twist and then come down. Like, yes, your feet are starting from here and ending in point B,
Yes.
but it's coming here. So, okay, if you're thinking about it in a kick, I take off here.
Your kick happens in your eagle. That's what I'm saying. Which is
Yes,
this-
but it still
yes.
doesn't mean it's a flip.
But that's the same spot that the kicks occur in a cork. This doesn't
Yes.
follow through in other tricks, with an interesting exception of when you connect vertical tricks into flips. If I'm going to do cheat 9 swing gainer, then now my kick has to be later because I have to eagle it, which now I'm kind of flipping.
Well, yeah, especially if you're doing gainer. Like if you're not flipping during
No,
gainer,
no. In the cheat 9. If I'm doing cheat 9 gainer, when I pull that chamber, my chamber goes from vertical at my target all the way over. It like this thing happens in your hips. It's you need to do it to know.
I mean, yes, I can understand where you're coming from.
Like okay,
Because you're
hip is
holding that
here,
chamber
and
longer, so then
normally
you're
what
actually starting
happens?
to invert.
Yes,
that kick
you
happens,
have
then
to
you spin around.
invert in order to eagle. Even if the test doesn't do the invert, your hips are flipping. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's what's happening in Shant, and that's what's happening in Snatch Cannon. Your hips are
Okay.
flipping.
There are certain snatch cannons that aren't snatch cannons, so that's okay.
And those people agree with you. But also, listen to this. We invented Snatch Cannon, so you can't say that it's not a Snatch
That's
Cannon.
very true.
But you can say that it's not a full in back out off of one foot. But you can't
No,
say
because
it's
a
not
lot of them are not.
right. But you can't say it's not a Snatch Cannon because they're all Snatch Cannons.
I mean, true. If you consider a B twist into a shant a snatch cannon, like, yeah, that could be a snatch cannon. Because
yes.
some of them look like a B twist into a snatch cannon. I'm like, okay.
Hey, looks aren't everything, man.
If you land on your feet, it's good. Sure.
And if you hit those it could be super ugly, but there are certain points you gotta hit. That's all I'm saying.
If you don't die, it's a good turn. Fantastic.
Right.
I can take that.
Hey, there's Charmanders and there's Charizards, man. That's what there is.
But then, okay. So like, I don't think I can convince you that B twist just isn't a flip because I don't think you're gonna let me convince you of that. Like, I don't think there's a way
I'm too stupid.
I mean, you are a caveman, so
I'm telling you, dude, when you do this, when you do like a cheat 9 swing gainer and you understand how that feels versus how a cork eagle feels versus how like a B twist into a swing versus into a vanish, like there are certain B twist rounds that I do that I'm like, okay, that was not a flip. But when I'm doing a B twist tack full or a B twist swing, then it's a flip. Like my B twist, even if the change is like so minute and you can't tell the difference, the way that my hips are required to engage to follow up that next trick makes it a flip to me. The way that my right hip is going over my left hip, kind of like how a shant happens, where my left leg is towards the ground. Okay, but if I don't lower my chest and I don't raise my right leg, I'm twisting. But if I do those things, then my right leg is flipping over my left leg. It's the same thing. Like a side swipe a flip? Yes. Is a 540 kick a flip? No. And actually, check yourself. Even you would think that a side swipe is a flip. Because there is a variation.
I don't think a raise is a flip.
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, a good raise, like if you're doing like TDR, I would say it's a flip.
Is aerial a flip?
Well, yes, literally.
Okay, then raise is a flip because raise is dark side aerial. And there's good and bad ones. I will admit that. So there were.
Did you just say raise? Okay.
No, this is fact.
Not dark side aerial.
This is not me being crazy. This is a fact. Raise is dark side aerial. Do it in your head. If you do an aerial, do your good side aerial in your head and swing it into a dark side gainer.
That's not okay.
What? Stop.
But
take a second and do it. Everybody listening, please take a second and do it.
Visualize.
Visualize
Take
yourself.
close your eyes.
Do
Walk
an
yourself through it.
aerial. And as that hyper is coming down, instead of thinking of it like a hyper, think of it like an eagle. And that back leg that has not come down yet, you can swing it into your dark side cork or gainer or whatever you'd like. And if you
Yeah, like
reverse,
if I'm thinking swinging into it, but like that's not a raise though. Like a raise is literally a backwards lean and a kick. Like that's not
no, it's a
aerial
front
motion.
swing. Raise comes from front swing, just like aerial. Aerial also comes from front swing.
Do I do raises wrong?
Yes. Apparently now you do. Raises come from front swing.
Yeah, because the back leg has to drive.
Yeah, just like an aerial.
Huh.
Yay.
Long pause.
I have
mean-
a video of it. I have a video of this on my Instagram. I will find it and I'll send it to you after this episode of me doing an aerial swing on my dark side and then doing a dark side aerial swing on my good side on trampoline, and they look identical. And you think that I mirrored them, and then I do it. I use my aerial tech to do TDRs, and it looks crazy good.
I must do raise wrong.
Yeah,
'Cause,
you
like, that
must, because they are completely interchangeable. A raise is literally an aerial swing without switching your leg positions. So
maybe I'll have to try those later because like that doesn't make sense.
that
but
should make it
hey, that's
easier.
me.
So by that logic, raise is a flip because raise is an aerial. And you say aerial. So now a side swipe is a raise, but you just switch which foot you're landing on. And there is even a trick called a suicide swipe, which goes directly over the top, which follows your qualifications of that.
Yes.
Yes. So I don't remember what the point of this was, but
It was probably getting towards why B twist is still not a flip.
oh no, because this is also interesting. I just made a new connection. So side swipe, if side swipe is a flip, then B twist hyper, does that make it a flip? Because now you hypered it and you came from above. That's what I'm talking about. The motion of an eagle is the same motion as a hyper. It's just not quite that far along. But that same motion is occurring, which to me is the flipping motion.
So
Whoa, I
then,
had a
okay.
breakthrough.
So you might be able to convince me here if we can agree on one point,
Okay.
and that means B twist shouldn't be here. Your feet should be above your head.
Okay, yes, I agree that the B twist that you are going to swing or tack from or pop from, those ones your feet need to be above you, and that is the flip one, because I did already say that there are some B twists that I do not flip, but there are some that I do flip. If I'm going to hyper the B twist, I'm flipping it. If I'm going to swing the B twist, I'm flipping it.
Okay. So I guess I'm being very general about it, where I think B twist is just here. So
No, because there's lots of different
I think
kinds
there's
of B twists.
variations of B twist that you might be able to consider a flip.
This is the problem that we're not going to agree on this part, that there are vertical corks that I believe are flips because you can make it a flip because of the way that your hips are acting. You can make your hips act in a flip way even when you're vertical, which is not like, people might bullshit that, but there's like a real thing that happens when you're like, when you try to do a swing 9 and you accidentally cork, or you try to cork and you accidentally swing 9, but then there's that weird area where you're like vertical but you're flipping and everyone's like, what the heck? And it happens.
What's going on?
Yeah, it really happens. So there's like that that exists, and that I think is like the missing link between things like these weird B twists that are flips and also like shants and like flat spinning tabletop Cody's. Like that to me is like the missing link between those. It's like that weird cork that says this is still a flip says that all flat spins are still flips.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess too, because we're both going to be kind of stuck on partially on one side, like I can make an agreement, at least on my end, that there are probably variations of doing B twists that are flips because of it approaching that axis and actually coming up and down more than just around and down, because you're not really flipping. But
Yeah.
like when you're trying to connect it out into something and you have to swing, you do really need to be truly more flipping like it, because at one point you have explained B-twist, swing 9, and cork are pretty much all the same thing.
Right.
It's just slightly different axis or like
Mhm.
slightly different setup that you may do into it. So like I can make the point. I can
And
agree
see,
on
this
the
is
point.
actually something interesting. Like I've been leaning pretty heavily on the fact that like axis is important in the execution of those 3 tricks, but I kind of am thinking now that it is important because the axis, like the way to achieve an axis is by body position, which creates an interesting point. What if you can hit a body position and change the axis? Now what trick are you doing? That's kind of what I'm stuck on. I kind of talked myself into this. We're like, if you hit a body position, it allows you to do a cork. What if you do the exact same body position, but you're not technically doing a cork? Then what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? That's that weird cork that lives inside of a swing 9 and a cork. That's like,
Yeah.
you're doing a cork, but you're not actually doing a cork. So what are you doing? It's not a shitty swing 9, and it's not white or shitty cork. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe this horizontal line thing doesn't exist.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Like this, we created this like we created this like level of like this is what's required to be a flip, but at the same time, like people started not paying attention to it and just flowing, and then they're like, oh, now a shan't exist. Now there are pseudo. The frappe and like all these other things like scissor late 9 hyper. Like it's like, what's happening? Are these flips or are they not flips? And then trickers are like, well, what if we just keep doing it and stop trying to define it? And then more things happen. And then we find more
I
stuff.
mean, that's true.
Right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that important.
Don't forget to
like,
follow us on the_flip_side_podcast on Instagram.
And CHRISPY_TRIX. That's chrispy-trix on Instagram. And I also have another YouTube channel, TrixFix, TRIX space FIX, for more tutorials and other things.
And we'll see you guys next time.